New Zealand Warriors up and over the Dragons. A little bit scrappy, but we did it, team. Top four guaranteed. Home finals guaranteed. Let's go. Hey team, welcome back into the Warriorholic. Man, not quite as clinical as we would have liked, but the Warriors got it done yet again. Man, what a performance. First time since 2007 we're into the top four. First time since 2002 we've won 7 in a row. Man, people sitting there kind of complaining about perhaps a lack of precision in that game, but shit. How can we say anything negative about this team who've outperformed probably 95% of those who've worn the jersey before them? I'm so proud of the boys, no matter whatever happens from here. Man, we did it. We guaranteed ourselves, that chance to get the home semi, at least play the second week of the finals. Andrew Webster, first year as an NRL head coach. Who could have predicted this? Let's not sit there and focus on the errors or perhaps lack of precision at times. Let's celebrate this team. 25,000 plus fans, sellouts back to back. 18,000 plus fans at every game this season for the Warriors. This has just been a dream ride that no one could have predicted. And we're just got to keep riding it to the end, because this is only phase one, bro. Only phase one in our journey. Imagine what we're going to be like next year. RTS comes in. Harris DeVita comes back. I'm not sure if he ends up staying, but we may lose Ciro. It could be our only loss from our roster this year, other than Viliami Vaila. Mate, exciting times ahead. But let's take a bit of a reflection on the game. I called for precision. I called for concise thinking and concise play. I called for focus for 80 minutes. Did we get it? Potentially not in attack at times, but I thought our defence was absolutely outstanding. Our tackle efficiency was up around the 90% mark there. We didn't let them score once, other than off a lucky bounce off a kick. They couldn't break our line. Our tackle efficiency is up on what it has been. So from their side of I think they played with heart. Those initial injuries were a bit of a setback for them, and we thought we could have run away with that before we got our own. But Lowry, outstanding, played 80 minutes, 206 odd metres I think he made. Russell, I think he made something like 51 tackles. But other than Lowry, not one of their forwards ran for 100 metres. That's a credit to our defence, our line speed, our intensity. Other than Suli and Ravalawa, their backs were quiet. Ravalawa didn't really do much, but he ran for 140 odd metres. Suli, I think, had a really strong second half, particularly that tackle break, which unfortunately led to Metcalf's hammy injury there. I think we did a great job to shut down the likes of Sloan with his speed. Lomax back in there with his attacking prowess. Ben Hunt, one of the best halves in the comp. If you really look at the game, I went back and watched it the second time. We never looked like losing it. We were always in control. The thing that really kind of killed us a bit was conceding those penalties and giving them a piggyback out a few too many times. But to be fair, I think a lot of those were line ball calls. We didn't give away any ruck infringement. So from that perspective, I think people need to realise this was a much better performance than we've seen for a while. We might not have had the massive, scoreline there, but when you lose two backs, you're going to lose your fluidity there. So Webby said it himself. He thought it was a completely different performance than what we've seen for the past few weeks, and I trust his judgment. So other than those couple of injuries that I'll get onto when we get to the players, I'm really, really proud of that effort. Again, we fought hard. We played finals footy. We did what we needed to do, and we won the game. Well done, the Warriors. Now, let's take a quick look at all the stats we've got to look through today. Score-wise, 18-6 there, 3 tries to 1. I think we left 2 or 3 out there at least. AFB, bro, way too casual. That kick from Dylan Walker through Jackson Hastings, millimetres from scoring that one. Wade Egan, millimetres from scoring his one. So I think Curran was just held up short there. So I think we created enough opportunities, but again, I think AFB's one is clearly a lack of being switched on, but the other ones, it's just the bounce of the ball there. We're bloody lucky when it comes to that very first play off the kickoff there. Shit, that freaked me out. It's not the way we would have wanted to start the game, and would have had a very different game had they been able to get that. 3 from 4 from Pompey off the boot there, and just the 1 from them. Possession 55 versus 45. I think that's a great sign. If we watch that, we'll look at some of the other stats a little bit later on. When you look at the actual territory and the meters made, we pretty much dominated them, so we made a lot more use of our possession there. Completion 76. What have we got there? 10 incomplete sets again. That's not ideal. Not ideal. It's one of the things I think we'll be really working on there. Just a few little lapses there. Less errors than we have had, but still not down into the single figures. We'll see that in a moment. But hey, and they were 30 from 38, so not too dissimilar from us. But again, we just used our ball better. Attacking here, so all runs 205 versus 167. So it's a lot more runs than they had. But here, the meters, 450 odd more meters than they had at 1,888 versus 1,404 there. Post-contact meters 660 versus 486. I think that's one of the places we killed them. Line breaks 4 versus 1. Only conceding 1 line break. That's the stuff of top fours. Only conceding 6 points. That's the stuff of top four, guys. Don't worry too much about what we're scoring. We got 3 times them, but we restricted them to 6 points. And 1 line break. Average meters per set 43, basically 44 versus 37. It's a big difference when it adds up over 30 odd sets. Kick return meters here. This is another huge one, right? 136 versus 83. I was a little bit curious as to why we kept kicking down to Lomax's side there, because we know Ravalawa's not the greatest under high ball, but our kick chase again, we limited their meters. You've got a guy like Sloan who's great in broken play and open field play. We restricted them. Play the ball speed significantly quicker there, 3.389 versus 3.64. Offloads 10 versus 4. That was a lot more than we've seen from us for a long time, so well done there. Negative plays here. What do we got? The errors 11. Actually, I thought it was 10, so 11 versus 12. Penalties conceded 10 versus 7, and no ruck infringements versus 2. I think that... I'm not going to blame the refs again, but I will mention that I thought that they were a little bit harsh on us in our effort to slow the player ball down. They're a little bit light on them. I think they could have given away a lot more 6 agains, but that's the rub of the green guys. But yeah, defense 90% basically for us, tackle efficiency versus 85. So well done to them. Like, their defense was very, very strong. Their line defense. One thing I noticed about a lot of their sets, what they were doing to try and sort of shut down the play where we see 2 of our dummy runners going either side of the third defender there and so forth, which often creates those tries for Dallin, is they were kind of running up outside in, so they were kind of like a banana where the wing and the centre were coming up faster than the main line there, so it kind of created a banana shaped like this that sort of, I don't know, kind of compressed us a little bit. I'm sure that's something that the boys will consider, but line speed something we're going to have to deal with, because when you're getting up against the top 4 teams, they've got line speed, so we might see a little bit more kicking from SJ. We saw he had to try and run a few more times, didn't manage to get the line breaks here, but I'm sure we're ready to counter it. But I would also say that we've got a few countermeasures up our sleeve that we won't start using until the final, so don't get too stressed about that yet, guys. Kicking here, 536 meters for us versus 610. Field position, we were kicking more attacking kicks, so we didn't need to kick the long kicks there. 20 kicks versus 25. One thing that still continues to concern me is our kick defusal. It's one of the things I gave Dallin a couple of, sort of a minus point on for his performance as well. Overall, he was outstanding, but just not able to get that timing right on those leaps. Sort of tapping the balls back rather than trying to take it cleanly. So it's definitely something we're going to have to work on, because we've got the likes of Cleary and Munster and Hughes, Reynolds if he comes back, to contend with over the coming weeks here with their kicking game, and some really big high leaping wingers and centres that we're going to come up against. So that's one thing that does concern me a little bit. But overall, look, we beat them in all the key stats that matters. We just really got to limit those errors and unforced errors, that sort of thing that's going to really kill us, giving away those piggyback penalties against the top teams, because they will have a better ability to put us away on the back of those. Right, getting into the individual reviews. This was a tough one, watching it live the first time. I'd had a few cans, celebrating by myself here. And it was hard to see who was really standing out. We had guys out of position due to injuries and so forth. But when I went back and watched it the second time, when you break down the stats, there are a few players who really stood out here. Chance Nickel-Clogstead is one. Probably man of the match for me. 218 metres here, 24 runs. Some of those runs he's taking, probably, I don't know, at least a third of them 2 runs per set hit outs off our line. His leg drive, once he hits the tackle, he very rarely gets driven back. If he starts to lose momentum, he's able to get straight to the ground. I think that's just, we can't underestimate that impact that he brings and the energy he saves our forwards. Tackle efficiency, 100%. Just made the 5 tackles, but that's around about what you're normally expecting for a fullback there. But that one on was at Sully, I think, after that line break. Massive guy coming straight at him and he just drops him. I was a little bit worried there. I thought he copped a bit of a knock to the head off the hip, but just the effort there on defence. 9 tackle breaks, 1 line break assist, 1 try assist and a try. Outstanding, absolutely outstanding. You can see why the club is committed to him playing fullback next year. I think that work rate, you wouldn't want to try and get the same out of 32-year-old RTS legs. Outstanding, my man. I'm going to give you my man of the match. Dallin, a lot of guys had him up there in their, player of the day or in the top 3 in the Warriors this week. I thought he played outstandingly. I gave him a 7.5 due to his errors there. 123 metres, post contact 37, tackle efficiency 77, which is up for him there. 10 tackles, 1 miss, no ineffective tackles, 1 tackle break, 2 errors and a handling error, which is why he's been a point of excellence over the past few weeks. So I've had to give him a bit of a minus point there. I think he was probably close to an 8.5 on everything else, but you've got to count those errors. That tap back in there at the start was a bit of a brain explosion. You'd rather give away a penalty than a try right on your first 3 odd seconds of the bloody game there. So, a little bit harsh on him, but again, his energy and his, the fitness for him, and I'll get on to Montoya in a minute, to continue to contribute to those, hard meters out of our line. Shit, outstanding effort, my brother, but I had to give it a little bit of a tick down there for those errors. Well done to the little fella on his birthday this week too, my man. Montoya, I gave him an 8 this week. I think he's improved. I think his meters are up significantly on the past couple of weeks. It's back up to 167 there, 34 post-contact meters. Tackle efficiency 67 seems a bit rugged, but he only made 2 tackles and missed the 1 no ineffective tackles. 5 tackle breaks. No handling errors and no errors, no handling errors there, which I think is something that's let him down a little bit over the past few weeks. But for me, the reason I gave him that, the extra half a point over Dallin is just I feel like it's a good turnaround for Montoya to see him to start getting those meters up again. Continued that combination, the back 3, probably second only to Penrith, maybe equal with Penrith as far as the ability to contribute to the meters off our line. So, well done to him. I hope he continues to perform there. I'm not 100% sure what they do with Rocco Berry. Apparently he could have come back on the weekend, but they didn't for reasons I'll get into in a moment. So we may see Rocco get rested. I think with no one else really there in Cup other than Vaila, I'd probably look to move Montoya into the centres. Potentially, if Cossey's knee's holding up and he plays well today, maybe he comes onto the wing to give him a bit of a bit of a run before the finals. I'm not sure, but who knows? But good effort from Montoya. 8 out of 10 for me. Rocco Berry. I posted this up on TikTok actually, just a quick breakdown there. I didn't notice it in real time, but what he did is he actually hyperextended his left knee in a tackle, just fractionally. You saw him sort of hopping on one leg out of the tackle there, and then sort of drifted back down into back play and just went onto a knee and wasn't able to participate after that. So from what Webby said, it's minor strain. He could have come back on and played had he really been needed to. They looked at bringing him on a couple of times, but having Metcalf out and having Dylan Walker into the half role really impacted our middle rotation there, so they needed to use those interchanges with forwards, only having the couple of forwards on the bench here. So, like I said, they may rest him this week. If it's not that bad, maybe they play him and try and play through it. I've had the one in the back of the knee before. It's an uncomfortable feeling, but if it's not too bad with a bit of ice, it can settle down within less than a week. These guys are mentally strong, with the right strapping. If he had to, he could probably play next week if it was a final, but I wouldn't be upset if they gave him a rest to really try and get it sorted, because I think he's an absolute linchpin. You'll see I gave him 7 out of 10 there, and he only played 31 minutes, but 42 metres in just those 30 minutes, that's more than he's run, I think, in a game over the past few weeks. Tackle efficiency, 100%, 11 tackles in the 30 minutes. For a back, that's huge. Tackle breaks 1, line break 1, just the one handling error. I think his contribution was very strong, actually. I thought he was getting more involved with his runs than he has been. He has to take a different approach, like you'll see the likes of Dallin and Montoya, and even to a certain extent Pompey, who will just look to drive the tackle. Rocco's not big enough, so you'll see he'll actually use a bit of a swerve just before contact. But it means he's not actually getting smoked, and he is able to get that forward momentum. So hope he's back. I think we really, really need him. Adam Pompey, I thought this is probably one of his best games in the second half of the season, to be honest. There wasn't much I could mark him down on. I gave him an 8.5, and this is not, like I've said, I give these points based on what I think their output is on what you can realistically expect from each of the individual players on a week in, week out basis. And I think this was one of his better performances, in the fact 106 metres again, and they're hard metres now. I think he's hitting that line harder. Little late step there getting him through, and we saw from his try there, he has got that, for a big boy who's not that fast, he's got a great late step, went straight around Sloan there. 85% tackle efficiency. This is one of the most tackles he's made, I think, in a long time. It's 17, 2 misses and the one ineffective tackle there, so he did a really good job on Sully there. 6 tackle breaks, 1 line break, 1 try, and just the 1 handling error. Overall, I thought he did really, really well, and particularly when you lose your halves partner halfway through the game there. So continues to give me confidence that him and Rocco can match it with pretty much anyone they come up against in the competition. Well done, Adam. I'd love to see even take it up into the 9s from here on in, and really show that you're the man next year. Make it very, very difficult, one, for RTS to get a spot, and if he does it, for Webby to decide who partners him there. Luke Metcalf, what a poor bastard, mate. The look on his face, it was shattering to see. He knew as soon as he'd done it, and it was actually the left hammy this time. It's the right that's been the problem up until now. I gave him a 7 for the 41 minutes he played there. Just the 36 running metres, but he put in 2 really good calculated kicks on both sides of the field. You could see he was really comfortable taking that first receiver role when SJ got caught on the 5th tackle a couple of times there. 1 line break assist, 1 try assist, 1 handling error and 1 error. Tackle efficiency, it looks bad, 60%, but just the 6 tackles and 4 misses. But up against a big boy there in Sully. So I thought it was a shame. One thing that I gave him the extra the 7 I guess for there was that pass that put Pompey away for the try. That was SJ-esque. That's what we've been looking for Metcalf for a few weeks now, to create an unleash for his wingers and his centre on the left hand side there, straight across Curran's face into Pompey and coming in on a chain sort of reverse angle there. That was as good as you'll see. So it's such a shame. Just as he found that, a few minutes later he's gone. So I don't think he'll be back. You could see it in his eyes, the tears welling up there. Shit, you feel heartbroken from him. Guys like him and Jazz, the effort they put in to get back and then just to get injured again with injuries that this will be a long-term one. But it's sad he misses the finals, but it gives him a whole off-season now to get that sorted, keep working on the things that he picked up in the US, hoping he comes back stronger. But yeah, shout out for the man. Keep your head up, bro. We're all behind you. Sean Johnson, again, he was not highly rated amongst the Warrior, from the fan votes. And I think, again, when you don't see him doing all the flashy stuff, perhaps you don't recognise his contribution as much. I gave him an 8.5, 75 running metres there. They were hard meters too. Slight, I don't know if it was runners, or maybe it was the line speed there. Just struggling to kind of get those guys in full momentum. There were a few line balls, and a couple of times he had to take that tackle, look for the step, but they were chasing him well from the inside. So I think there's 75 hard-earned meters there. Tackle efficiency, 95%, 18 made, and just the one ineffective tackle. A couple of times they're actually screen recorded one. I'm going to put it up on TikTok, purely because they don't ban me like a lot of the other platforms there. If you put up NRL content, or don't ban you, they just make it so it doesn't appear. There's a tackle that Berry, I'm pretty sure it was Lomax, sort of locked up the legs, and you just see SJ come in, and his ability to drive up under the ribs absolutely smashed him back. And that to me is the epitome of what SJ has done this season. His effort on defence, the way he hits into those big forwards and big centres, absolutely outstanding. One line break, 2 try assists again. It's not to be scoffed at. That must be about 26 try assists now. He's got to be right up there with Drinkwater. A couple of handling errors, a couple of errors as well there, which is why I dropped him down out in the 9s. But overall, I think he will still get points for the Dally M's, because the guys are marking them. They know their footy, and they would have recognised his contribution. His kicking game, outstanding, to put them back down on their line, our kick chase, to hold them in those corners. I can see that him and Dallin have been working in that cross kick where it doesn't actually go out and Dallin can compete for it. He hasn't quite got that right, but when they had the hooker there on the wing, man, if that one had just bounced up rather than kicking right into the line there, Dallin could have scored. So with that, dodgy quad, kicked really, really well. Contestable kicks all night. So another outstanding effort from SJ in his 250th. Well done, my man. Adam Fanor-Blake. Granted, I was a few cans in, and glaring errors stand out. He didn't seem to be making the post-contact meters watching live, but shit, you go back and watch the replay and look at the stats. Man, other than those 2 glaring errors, one that cost us a try and the other one, dropping the ball in our own red zone, that you got to mark him down a point for those, but had it not been for those, he's back at 95 there. 71 minutes played, 22 runs, 226 metres, 92 post-contact metres. So his post-contact metres were equal to or greater than every one of St. George's forwards or St. George's running metres other than Lowry. That puts it in perspective. His post-contact metres alone. Tackle efficiency, 90%, 27 tackles, 3 misses. Ridiculous. 3 tackle breaks, 1 line break, 1 try, could have been 2, and a couple of errors there. Beast. Stay healthy, bro. Stay healthy. We need you for the rest of this season. Out of words. No words. Bunty. Again, bearing in mind the scoring is based on what I believe, they delivered versus their potential. I gave him a 9. 40 minutes played, that's double the minutes, or more than double the minutes he's used to playing. 10 runs for 80 metres, so over 40 minutes, you add another 20 minutes to that, like most of the opposition forwards played, that's over 100, that's more than they made. Post-contact 28, that's up as percentage-wise of what he's actually running there. 100% tackle efficiency, guys. 30 tackles made. That's what people don't look at. They might give him shit for not making the big runs like Adam or whatever, but 30 tackles at prop with not one miss, not one ineffective tackle. That's why Bunty's in our team. You can't question that effort. 2 tackle breaks, no errors. That's why Bunty's in this team. He's clinical. He puts his body in there, and that's 30 tackles that he's counted for, but he contributes to way more than that when he's the third man in there. So respect the guy's effort, people. I think that was one of his best games this season, so well done to him. I'm glad he's taken the opportunity to step up. I think a lot of people were blowing up there, having only watched live, saying got to get Mitch Barnett back in, drop Bunty. Bullshit, guys. That guy is someone we will see will get minutes throughout the finals. We need those tackles. Wade Egan, gave him an 8.5 and shit. I'm struggling to come up with too many justifications on it, but I think we've seen him play better games. And 80 minutes played, again, 8 runs, which is great to see. But this is where I marked him down a point. 8 runs, but I think at least 2 or 3 of them were at the wrong time. They were the wrong decision to run, and all 8 of them he died with the ball. I'm going to keep harping on about this. The top runners in the game, the hookers, they don't die with the ball. They link up there. So that's the only criticism I could have of him, because shit, what he got there, 91% tackle efficiency, 41 tackles made. He's not a huge guy, but those tackles he's making in the middle there, the 4 misses, 1 tackle break, no errors. Shit, don't get injured, brother. Another one we have to have out there. You know, his ability to engage the line, take it close before he gets those offloads, putting the defence into minds. Shit, can't question it, but just get that pass away, brother. Get that pass away. Josh Curran, 80 minutes. Well done, bro. I gave him a 9 out of 10. A lot of that on the effort, and playing 80 minutes and kind of mixed up. I think he played a bit of time there at centre, but a bit of time there on the edge. 13 runs for 112 metres, which was more than all of their forwards. 46 post contact, but 35 tackles made at 95%. Just the 1 miss and 1 ineffective tackle there. 4 tackle breaks. I think that was his best effort for this year. We might not have seen the big busting tries, but just, having gotten a chance there as they gave Jackson a bit of a rest there off the bench, stepped up and showed he's got the ability to deliver for 80 minutes. Well done. Not much more I could have asked for him from his own personal potential, so I gave him a 9. I gave Marata a 9 as well. 67 minutes played, which is slightly up there. 14 runs, slightly up there. 123 metres, way up there. 57 post contact. Man, I really like how on the third play, a lot of times we've got, or maybe the fourth play, Chance, Montoya, Dallin. Then we shift it wide 2 or 3 passes to get Marata hitting it there, half or centre, getting that front foot ball and getting a roll on so we can get that kick away in a better position. 2 tackle breaks, 1 handling error, 1 error, but again, no penalties, no negative, 6 gains or anything like that. He's just learnt to harness that aggression. And I think both him and Curran did a great job there, switching between covering the centre. So I couldn't have expected much more out of either of those 2, hence I gave him a 9. Tohu Harris, again, I give him a 9.5 because I guess one day there might just be this miracle game that comes out. But another 80 minutes played, another 20 runs, 202 metres, 78 post contact metres, 42 tackles, 5 misses, which was a bit of a un-Tohu-like happening there. 1 ineffective tackle for 87%, 1 line break, no handling errors, no errors. Utter beast. Utter beast. That's all I can say. Not much more I could have asked. Well done, brother. Stay fit. We need you as well. Dylan Walker. Different game from him this week. I gave him an 8.5. Again, it's a different Dylan Walker than we've seen, like when the first sort of half of the season you just felt that massive energy when he came on and he was making those massive breaks up the middle. But shit, he's just doing so much work here. 57 minutes for 13 runs, 129 metres. Again, that's like 40 metres more than any of their forwards. 38 post-contact metres, 86% tackle efficiency. Only the 18 tackles this week, which is down when he's normally playing in the middles, but playing in the halves here. 1 tackle break, 1 line break assist, no errors. The thing that really gave me confidence is that little kick he put through. Not knowing for his kicking game, but under pressure there again, SJ gets caught with the ball. He gets the ball, that little depth kick through. It was so close to Jackson scoring. He showed, again, it's not against the top 14, but he was able to fill a hole there. And it just shows the value of having a guy like him on the bench with so much versatility in these finals, because losing 2 backs, that's a massive ask for anyone. We saw how we got really excited, I know I certainly did, when they lost their wing and they lost Lomax initially. I thought we could have gone nuts here and put 40 odd points on them, but Lomax did end up coming back. If you'd had to play a hooker on the side, on the edge there all day against Dallin, Dallin would have scored. But I think we did really, really well there to continue to compete with a guy like Dylan able to jump into the halves. I don't think I would want him there playing every game, so I'm praying that Tamari Martin has a really good game today and Cuppen comes through unscathed, because we need Dylan at 14. Jackson Ford, he came off the bench for 49 minutes and he made a huge impact. 8.5 for me, 8 runs for 90 metres in just 50 minutes. Post contact of 35, but some of those were vital runs. The energy he brings and the intensity, it does change the game. I didn't really envisage him having such a big impact off the bench, because I've always said I like Curran coming on, but it was interesting to see that he could come on and do that against his old side there. In 49 minutes, 20 tackles made, 3 misses at 87%, 7 tackle breaks in just that short stint there. One error again, one handling error, which some people will focus on, but you just can't. The contribution he makes on attack and defence far outweighs any of those negative plays. I don't think he got penalised this week again, which is a bonus, though he did get the errors against him. But shit, I'm a massive fanboy of that guy. I hope he's another one who stays safe. Bailey Sirenen, I gave him a 7.5. He played the 31 minutes. The reason I gave him a 7.5 is just the 4 runs for 34 metres at 14 post contact, but continues to deliver on his defence and exceed my expectations there at 92% with 24 tackles made in 30 minutes. That's huge. And just the 2 ineffective no misses. I do like the fact, I think he's more suited to the middle. Particularly in that back half of the game against more tired guys. You probably wouldn't want to have to start him in the middle against one of the massive packs, but shit, he does a job there. And again, if he's needed, he can cover the halves, he can cover hooker, he can cover centre at a stretch, but I do like him when he's going up through the middle there. So well done to him off the bench. I think 7.5 is a pretty solid effort. Freddie Lussick, not big minutes here, he just played the 14 minutes. But I gave him a 7 because 5 runs for 50 metres for a guy his size playing in the middle, 21 post-contact metres. Just shows the value of having someone who's got that energy, a whippy guy against tired forwards at the end of the game. The heart that he shows for a small guy to get in there and play a running middle forward. 87% tackle efficiency with just the 6 tackles, but one of them was a huge one off the back of his era to get up there and smash that shoulder up under the ball, dislodge it, to turn it over, to pay back for the error he had made, the 1 tackle break. I'm a fan of having him there on the bench, particularly until we get Jazz back. Every one of these boys, no one had a bad game. We saw a couple of guys like the errors stood out, like AFB, like I said, but the rest of their contribution was outstanding. So as frustrating as it was to watch live and it felt like it wasn't flowing, like I said, you can't lose 2 backs out of your lineup and have 2 props. What do we have? Left with a utility and Ciro and a hooker on your bench there, and not have it impact you. It's going to impact your fluidity, but just the defense, the clinical defense, guys, that's it for me. So I'm very, very happy after going back and watching that the second time, because it wasn't as bad as I thought. I think, again, it was very much like a lot of these finals are going to be. People think that someone's going to come out there and go nuts. Chances aren't huge because people are tired. Webby had a really interesting comment there at the end of his press conference where he said, you won't see player or teams in the final being as adventurous with the ball like we've seen from the teams we've played over the past 5 weeks, because they've got nothing to lose. They're just throwing it around. They're having fun. They know they're going to have to try crazy shit to score against us. Our opposition we're going to come up against in these finals, for the most part, they're going to try and wear us down. Melbourne and Brisbane concern me purely because of the X factor and a guy like Munster. Perhaps if he comes back and makes it. You know, they've got Reece Walsh for the Broncos. They're just electric, and they can just pull that shit out of their ass, which is very, very hard for anyone to defend against. But other than that X factor, I think we can get in the grind with any of those top 4 teams. I think our forwards are as hard working. Our back 3 is probably harder working, to the point, you know, would you swap them? Would you swap our back 3 with who Penrith have got? I wouldn't. These are the Warriors, bro. They can match it with them. It looks like, if you know, who knows what happens when the Broncos meet the Storm in that final round game there. That decides, you know, who gets the minor premiership. I heard them talking on the radio about it, Joel Kane there, and he made a good point that who wants to win the minor premiership this year and have to go up against Melbourne in 4th? No one wants that. No disrespect to us. I mean, if you were them, would you want to play the Warriors or the Storm with their experience in the finals? If we're honest with ourselves, you'd rather play us. But for me, I think we match up well against Penrith. A lot of people were scared of them, but particularly if Jerome Luai, if he can't come back or comes back on a lame shoulder, I feel like we match up against them. Webby knows a lot about them. They play a very similar style of football. They try to grind teams out. We can go with them. Other than the injuries and a few bad calls, they struggle to put points on us when we played them earlier on in the season. So I don't hate playing the Panthers. They said if we lose to them and we make the final, we play them again. I don't mind. If I have to lose to anyone in a final, if we make it, I'd rather lose to the Panthers. I love the way that they've built the team from local talent. I've loved the fact that they play fun, you know, fun footy. They might come across as cocky, but I love the fact that it's boys enjoying their footy just like we do. So for me, they're a success vision of where our club's going to be in a few years. So if we lost to them first try up in a final in how many years, I'd handle that. I'd hate to lose to Brisbane, but I'd hate more to lose to Melbourne. So, you know, I'm excited. I'm really curious to see what happens today with the Cup boys. I pray we don't have any injuries. Really curious to see what Webby does with the team when he names it on Tuesday and who runs out there against the Dolphins. We saw they had a tough night out. They're starting to feel it. The depth is a bit of a challenge for them. I think we've got more than enough to get up over them. But do we rest anyone? Do we rotate anyone? I'm not going to make any calls because I have no idea. And I don't think Webby had really thought about it until today. So take a deep breath. There's nothing better than a weekend. It seems like it's 3 or 4 days when you win on a Friday night. Sit back and watch these other teams bash the shit out of each other. Get ready for next weekend. We're going to the finals, team. NZ Warriors. Absolutely outstanding. I couldn't have asked for any more from them. Anything from here on in's a bonus for me. Up the mighty Wars, up the mighty Warriors, whatever you want to call them, I love them. Let's go.